$26 million by the end of March. Cooper just turned a polling lead into a balance sheet. If you're just joining us, North Carolina is the Democrats' chronic Senate near miss. Competitive enough to pull in the money, but still red enough federally to punish wishful thinking. Roy Cooper came into this cycle with unusually strong personal standing, and early polling has had him well ahead of Michael Whatley, including a 14-point Catawba College YouGov lead that echoed earlier double-digit numbers.
This is Senate Pickup Watch. Today, does Cooper's cash haul actually mean what everyone thinks it means? And what happens to Maine if Susan Collins loses? First up, the money.
From NC Newsline.
That's in part because his campaign had raised more than $26 million as of the end of March to back his U.S. Senate bid, one that is crucial to deciding who controls the chamber. That makes Cooper the fifth-ranked fundraiser among all Senate candidates this cycle, and puts him at 3 times the total of his opponent, former RNC and NCGOP chair Michael Whatley, who had raised just over $8 million by March 31st.
$26 million by the end of March. NC Newsline frames it as a question. Does the money matter? And I want to flip that around. Start with where it came from. And here's the answer they buried. $10.68 million came from individuals. That points to small-dollar energy and a real in-state base, not just out-of-state bundlers cutting checks. Cooper isn't 3 times Whatley on PACs alone, he's lapping him on real donors.
Right, but be careful with causality here. Money matters most when you're building name ID from scratch. Cooper ran the state for 8 years. Everybody already knows who he is. So to me, the $26 million mostly confirms what the polling already told us. This race sits in the established favorite column. Whatley has $3.75 million from individuals behind even Tillis. That sounds like a candidate with no statewide brand and no base feeding him.
On the pickup test we set up, polling edge plus a cash advantage, Cooper checks both boxes. Whatley's the former RNC chair, and he can't outraise a sitting senator's leftovers from his own party. This one's from Sun Journal.
She's running for re-election to her 6th term, largely on these hard-won abilities. At every opportunity, she talks about the approximately $1.5 billion in earmarks she has brought to Maine since her last election. One of the major questions facing voters this year will be just how much that matters.
Collins gets asked about her brand-new Democratic opponent, and her answer is a fire station in Sweden, Maine. She doesn't engage Plattner. She pivots straight to the appropriations gavel.
And it works as a frame, Rich. The Sun Journal is literally asking what Maine loses if she's gone. Fire stations these towns can't build on their own tax base. That's the local argument Democrats in North Carolina can't seem to write.
Right. And structurally, she's chair of what she calls the most powerful committee in the Senate, a thing she built over 3 decades. Plattner can't counter that with a freshman seat. She's running the 1996 Maverick playbook with a 2026 chairmanship attached.
Compare it to the Cooper money story we just hit. $26 million, TV-heavy, nationalized. Collins is selling a groundbreaking photo and a grant for a transportation project. Totally different muscle.
And that's the realignment test under all of this. Does constituent service politics still bind working-class Maine voters to a Republican when the National Party walked away from that model everywhere else? If it does, Plattner has a problem money can't fix.
If you're tracking the Senate map with us, check out Midterms 2026 Daily. Senate, House, and governor's race coverage every weekday, with polling moves, ad spend, and the one chart that mattered today. Find it wherever you listen to podcasts. What we're watching next: the June and July campaign finance disclosures, which will show whether Cooper's fundraising edge over Whatley is widening, narrowing, or already baked in. You'll find links to every story we covered today in the show notes if you want to spend a little more time with any of them. That's Senate Pickup Watch for today. This is a Lantern podcast.